Hello, welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan, and today we're kind of trying something sort of different.
Well, we got a whole live podcast coming up very soon. So we got our little PA system all hooked up, and we're like, well, we probably should practice this one out before we go any farther.
Yeah, so this is just kind of a test. So if it sounds a little echoey or a little different, you know why?
Well, no, it won't sound echoey. That's only to us.
It is?
Well, because the recorder's plugged into the PA, so we hear the speaker, but it doesn't hear that.
Oh, science.
So yeah, if you see the left and right cables here, they are directed into the recorder itself, so we're not going to have that worry.
The more you know.
Yeah, so these things kind of...
Yeah, so we're trying to learn how to actually talk into a microphone and hold the microphone rather than just kind of like a webcam.
Yeah, because it's been a while since I've used a regular microphone. I mean, mine sat in a box, in a wooden box over there, a Jack Daniels wooden box from probably the 1800s, and I haven't pulled it out in a long time. Well, I take it back. No. I would pull it out to record the Wallaby the Rabbit songs.
Oh, okay.
I just, pop up the ukulele towards it, but no, I take that back. I think I was using that recorder the whole time. This is probably so uninteresting. Like, how they record?
I was like, maybe it's going somewhere. Maybe he knows something I don't. It's like, oh, right on. No, I'll say this. We get a little bit of extra background noise because we're just kind of in the middle of something right now, setting up for this party, and then we got the big thing going on tomorrow. So by the time you hear this, the show will definitely already probably be recorded. So yeah.
Yeah. So the live podcast will probably come up. Well, I guess we're getting so close to 300, so it's gonna be like this hop, skip, jump thing, where this show will happen, and then we'll have a 300, and then we'll probably have the live podcast.
Yeah, something like that. So I guess I don't know. I'm in town for a time being. Actually, now that I just realized something. I mean, there's Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We'll get to that. But I just realized that, I came in here with really nothing. I was just like, hey, let's test it out. Okay, we're testing it out. Oh, it sounds working fine. Oh, shit.
We got to record.
We're going. This is going there. Oh, shit. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Well, I do have something really cool to show you after the podcast, but have you ever heard of something called the EverDrive? I'm
looking at it right now across from me and connected to your old Nintendo 64.
Okay, well, what an EverDrive is, if nobody knows, and they've been around for a while, it's a cartridge for, say, your Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo, or Sega Genesis, but you can put an SD card into it and play all your ROMs straight through the actual original system. So, not only getting the original controller, you also get... You can probably set that up there. I don't think that's a problem.
It's fine. I don't want to risk it either spilling on either your Nintendo 64 or the brand new speakers you just bought. So I'll let my hand be cold.
Okay, well, whatever. But going back to the EverDrive. So these things have been out, and I'm like, okay. A lot of times I thought that the regular Nintendo one, the Super Nintendo one, the Genesis one, that all sound cool, but at the end of the day, I can play all those games I have not set on my Wii. And the classic controller on the Wii is pretty darn good. In a sense, it's probably almost even superior. I know some people, there's some purists back there be like, it's not superior. You can pull out the Fallout box.
Oh, there we go.
The Fallout box. Just put the fucking games out of the way, yeah.
Okay.
Or you put it, yeah, well, this is...
interesting for the show. There we go. I found a place to play.
And you can drag it closer to you, too. I feel like I don't know why I have to explain to you. Like Ryan, okay, so you're going to put it on the box there, and you're going to drag it closer for you.
I need adult supervision. Spencer, where can I put my LaCroix?
It's not next to the Johnny Quest action figures.
Okay. This is the fucking show. Okay.
But here's the thing. Okay. So, yes. Okay. Super Nintendo, Genesis, whatever. Those ones, you could pretty much play off almost any controller. You could pull out an Xbox One controller, and you could still technically play a Sega Genesis game. It doesn't feel that much different. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's not that bad. But, what's a system that you almost really need the controller more than anything else, that the controller pretty much makes the system probably more than any other system?
Did we actually talk about this last time? Because I think we were talking about the controller and the way the 64 plays and all that.
Maybe we were talking about this, but I guess I didn't have it yet. So I was talking about it pre. Maybe, dude, were we really talking about that? Are we really at the point now where, literally, we forgot the last episode?
I remember we just went into detail about why the 64 controller was important, why it stands out to other controllers.
Maybe that is. Maybe we did. Maybe we're just repeating ourselves now. Well, whatever. At the end of the day, the quick summary.
Welcome to Alzheimer's Cast.
Yeah, the Alzheimer's Cast, where we don't remember what we were doing last week. But whatever.
I'm going to blame it all on because we're not sitting at our usual table. We're not, hands-free. We're holding microphones, speaking into them, walking around. So I think I'm going to blame it all on that.
Well, I guess this is part 2 anyways of it, because here's the thing. I know for a fact I didn't have that cartridge last week. So We might have been talking about it, but we didn't actually get there. Well, that cartridge right there, so I got that one because I'm like, dude, the 64, you can't replicate that with another controller. I mean, you can, don't get me wrong, but you think about GameCube,
a lot of buttons and a lot of like weird hand postures.
It's like the Zelda games for GameCube. They just, you can still play it. It's totally fine, but it's not 100% the same thing.
Yeah.
But that thing right there is so fucking awesome. Having all those N64 games just like right at your disposal. I mean, and I already probably own, no, maybe not, I was going to say a quarter of them. That is totally not true. I probably own like an eighth of them, if that even. And it's really awesome. It's really cool just to be able to like pop that in. You're like, I want to play Castlevania. I want to play Super Mario. I want to play F-Zero. I want to play Pokemon. Dude, the game we've been playing the living daylights out of is, I am so bummed I never bought this back in the day, but it's that Pokemon puzzle game.
Oh, the shuffle puzzle or whatever it is?
Dude, that game is so fucking awesome.
I guess here's the thing, though. I'll say this about Tetris-style games. Like, when you first play, like, if it's like Tetris or anything in between, it's fun, but it's like, I don't remember what the gimmick is for each one. It's just like these ones connect a weird way, or this one connect. You know what I mean? The different gimmicks, they kind of blend together.
Well, they all have their own style. Like, because this kind of led up from, I got the Puyo Puyo versus Tetris on Switch, and it's so sick. Puyo Puyo is my favorite puzzle game of all time, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I've always liked Tetris, but Tetris has always been like, probably it goes Puyo Puyo, Bust a Move, Puzzle Fighter. Maybe Dr. Mario, and it starts working its way down from there. Definitely not Columns. It's definitely not my top 5.
Your lady straight up murdered me at a Puzzle Fighter last time you guys were visiting.
Oh yeah, Puzzle Fighter's great. I love.
I haven't forgotten Laura, by the way.
It's got big fat combos in it, and I like anything with big fat combos. And then you got Tetris, which is more like you got to think shit out, or like Dr. Mario. Like Dr. Mario is the game where you can't make a fucking mistake. The second that you make one mistake, that could be why you lost.
You just lost your PhD?
Realistically, yeah, that's how it is. I remember there was a period, me and Cisco were playing the living daylights out of Dr. Mario. We're in San Francisco, and we were playing like every night before we went to bed. It's like, dude, we got to play like fucking 10 rounds. You better fucking challenge me. So we're going on doing this, playing all these rounds and everything like that, to the point that this was going on for like a week or so. We're like battling it out, and that game takes like a lot of thought. You know what I mean? Like Puzzle Fighter and Puyo Puyo, I feel like those are the kind of games you can make mistakes in them, and it's okay. Because a lot of times mistakes, you're like, oh fuck, I made a mistake here, and then all of a sudden like it starts falling, and you start getting all these combos that you didn't even know about. You're like, oh, well that all worked out. But Dr. Mario is one of those ones like you got to be precise. It's a precise game. It's like Tetris. If you make one mistake in Tetris, and you're like, fuck, now there's that space down there. I'm never going to be able to get past that space. That space, well, I mean, you'll get there eventually, but it's going to screw you over. Well, we were playing Dr. Mario so hardcore that when I'd go to sleep, I would literally have dreams of pills falling.
I think that's like the same dream a junkie has.
I know, yeah, but lining them up too. It's like lining them up, making combinations. Because I've heard about, there's like a study they did where people were playing Tetris, and the more and more they played it, the more they had dreams about Tetris and stacking blocks. Well, instead, I had it with drugs. There's
this great joke in one of the Street Fighter comics where Dan got his ass kicked and he's about to get in this big. I don't know. He got. Well, spoilers. At first, you don't know what's going on. He's supposed to get in this big fight. Then all of a sudden, these giant bricks are coming down, and he's dodging them left and right. He's supposed to get crushed, and then he wakes up in a hospital. He just came out of a coma from getting his ass kicked by I don't know anybody. And then he looks over, and there's a kid playing on a DS and just playing as Sakura, beating Dan at Puzzle Fighters.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet. But okay, going back to that Pokemon one, we started playing the Pokemon one after playing a bunch of Puyo Puyo and Tetris. And don't get me wrong, the Puyo Puyo Tetris is freaking awesome. But it's like that Pokemon game, I remember when it came out, and I kind of looked at it and was like, oh, it's just a puzzle game. Because, at that time period, we were just hoping we were going to get our Final Fantasy Pokemon game that was going to be on the N64. It was going to be just like the Game Boy game, but all in 3D and everything like that, and look like Final Fantasy 7 or something. You know what I mean? Or Final Fantasy 8 even. And I think when the puzzle one came out, it's kind of like, okay, well, we had Snap, and all these games are cool, but they were not exactly what you wanted, And then you had Stadium, and Stadium was like, oh, well, this is sweet, we can battle and everything like that. But that's about at the end of the day all we're really doing. It's just like a 3D battler.
Or you could just play it you just play the game on your
the 64 little transfer pack. Well, really the best thing about Pokemon Stadium is the fact that you could take your red game, rip your Pokemon off that, take your blue game, rip your Pokemon off that, and then slap them all together so you can get all 151 easily, instead of doing it like the old-fashioned way of like, okay, let's manually transfer every Pokemon that I need to go over.
Yeah. That was
genius.
genius. They now have loopholes around that, but that was genius. Well, remember that was the thing where they had just unplug the cord in the middle of the transfer, and it just clones it. Yeah. and so many like hard to get ones got that way.
But yeah, but that Pokemon, that puzzle, what the heck is the game even called? It's like called Pokemon Puzzles.
I think
Stadium,
Puzzle
Swap,
Puzzle Stadium, something like that.
Well, it's one of the ones like that game is so much fun.
And
it
used graphics it used like images and like voices from the cartoon, right?
Yeah. It was all like cartoon oriented. So it was kind of like almost like how Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is pretty much the Sonic. It's the
bad one.
Yeah, the Disney. I always say Disney because I remember it appearing on there in ABC. But yeah. That one where it's like the Looney Tunes Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, it's like
it's trying to be like Roadrunner.
Yeah, the Roadrunner thing, and that's the one where it's like the game of the show. And
I heard that you might already know this, but I heard that was originally some Japanese game, and then when they brought it to America, like just slapped the shit from the American cartoon over that.
It's Puyo Puyo is what it is.
Oh,
so that's that. And there's also Kirby's Avalanche on Super Nintendo. Same thing too. So they used those characters to make Puyo Puyo because Puyo Puyo actually. That's probably only the third time it's really technically appeared in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, because I just have a bunch of Japanese versions of it. I have like the Super Nintendo one, the regular Nintendo one. There's 60. Well, I don't think there is a 64 one. I thought there was, but maybe there's not. And I like how you just got a nice rip in your crotch, and now you're just like...
Oh, shit, I didn't realize that. My bad. My bad.
I just thought I should say
I'm just showing that off, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'll lean back here the podcast.
So here's what's happening, to give you more of a mental image. So this is the first time... We've been having the just microphones with cords, so we can just walk around. I'm literally laying down my bag doing this, trying to show out, just trying to get comfortable.
You're like, oh,
and
dude,
then
look,
might as well take advantage of this. And apparently, yeah, just found out. Oh yeah, big ass rip in my fucking crotch. Awesome.
But dude, you know what also makes that Pokemon fucking puzzle game so awesome?
What's that?
Dude, it's got the To Be a Master soundtrack playing.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
it's like, oh, dude, that made my day so much. It's like, dude. One of my favorite soundtracks of all time, and you're going to play it over a badass puzzle game.
I'm going to say, how likely is it that you're going to request Time Has Come, Pikachu's Goodbye for your funeral?
I know, exactly. That'll be the sweet one to have.
Time has come for the best I know it. As the casket begins to lower to the ground.
Exactly. Hire Zachy Vengeance to come by and like play the guitar solo on it.
I'm surprised I haven't heard more like... I've heard we've heard people from our generation do metal Pokemon songs. A couple people in high school did their own metal Pokemon songs. I'm surprised I haven't heard any To Be a Master metal or hard rock covers.
I know. Well,
they might exist somewhere.
That's the one kind of metal band I always kind of wanted to do is just do you literally don't play any original music. All you do is do badass like death metal covers of pretty much video game songs. Now there is some bands that already do that. I already know, like
Power Glove or whatever.
Yeah, there's Power Glove, which is a really sweet band, but they generally don't have singing in it. Mm-hmm. They just have guitar playing, and they do that part really good. And then there's a band that I like even more called Arm Cannon, which does kind of the same thing, but they actually have singing. So that kind of I think that's the reason why I like.
I wonder what's the reference to Arm Cannon. Is it Mega Man? I was just thinking that. Yeah.
But that band's super awesome. They got 3 albums or so, and. Out of all the video game bands, that's my all-time favorite. They are so good. But they also do covers of Power Rangers theme song and some TV shows like that. And they do this awesome double play of the Hulk Hogan song from the 80s, and then it turns into the Shawn Michael theme song from WWF. So it's pretty sweet.
That's pretty awesome.
But there's still those guys all do their thing. Well, to me, I always go, okay, well, here's some songs that I've never heard anybody do that I would love to do, like the Sonic the Hedgehog one.
Yeah, I mean, the people actually know that. For a while, it was one of those songs You remember that song, and then you didn't hear it for years. You hear one other random person on your age start humming the song or say something. Holy shit, And now it's you hear the song all the time if you go to people mockingly singing on YouTube. So there's gonna be cover somewhere. I always thought if they ever I remember when I was in they were talking about Pokemon. They're talking it now, but now I want to say somewhere in 2006 or 7 they were considering and just hinting at maybe a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It's they should get Avenged Sevenfold to do the Saturday morning theme.
Oh, dude, that would be so sick.
I'm sure we're not doing that shit.
Yeah, until they say well, here you go. Here's $1 million a piece. Oh well, fuck that. Yeah, Rolling Stones prices.
Yeah,
dude, what if Rolling Stones did it?
Oh my god, if Rolling Stones did it, that the movie could look like dog shit, but if the Rolling Stones did that, then I'd just go see the movie just for that. You could listen to the soundtrack on Spotify. Yeah, they saw something. No, they didn't. They saw a price tag. Well, you never know.
You know what? I was watching, we were talking about this last time, I was watching Spider-Man the Animated Series. Do you know who does the theme song to that Spider-Man one?
I'm going to take a shot in the dark. Is just actually two questions. Big person or kind of random person, but we kind of know of this random person.
Really big musician, classic rock person.
Really?
Yeah, really big. Just a singular musician, though. Not like a band, but just a singular person.
Not Joe Satriani?
It's very close. It has a Joe in the title.
Joe.
Bigger than Joe Satriani, though. I mean, like, literally one of the biggest 70s bands you can think of. I mean, and they're big in the 80s and 90s.
Joe Perry?
Yeah, Joe Perry.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, unless for some reason it just happens to be another Joe Perry that happens to play guitar solos and stuff like that.
Well, that would explain why Aerosmith did a cover of the Spider-Man theme for the first movie soundtrack.
Yeah, it all starts to kind of come together. I'm just assuming that's all Joe Perry, but I saw it in the credits. I'm like, oh my God.
He's just a big Spider-Man fan, or his kid is, one or the other.
Well, I really hope he's the one singing the Spider-Man. You know how it's got like the like.
Well, it's not even like it's kind of like
not even really singing. It's like literally like the original
Spider-Man. It's like this is kind of like that, just with the guitar riff.
It's got like a cool guitar riff, but like it's just like when you hear the song, it's just this computerized tone version of like just a guy saying Spider-Man over and over again. It's really actually like kind of weird when you think about it.
Yeah. I wonder if he owed someone a favor, or they're just like, bring this guy in, Joe Perry. It's not the Joe Perry. I know it's not the Joe Perry, but that's going to make people flip their shit.
Look at those Old Man Orange guys. 20 years later, they're still confused.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that.
But it was like, well, the guitar playing sounds a lot like Joe Perry, so that's where I'm kind of going. I think it is.
I guess it's not so far-fetched. I mean, Michael Jackson is uncredited for the music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, so...
Yeah. Maybe that's the reason why Sonic the Hedgehog 3 always has a harder time getting re-released, unlike Sonic 1, 2, and CD.
That might be the case. I didn't even think about that. Well, now it's like known, but back then it really wasn't known. They had the whole scandals. So that's the reason why they kind of hid his name from it. And he was actually kind of disappointed with the way it came out because the Genesis limitations with the tones and the beats and all that.
That's okay. That's one of the, there's so many good songs on there. I don't know why you'd be disappointed.
I'm trying to remember which one it was. I want to say
Michael Jackson. It's probably easy to be disappointed.
I can't. I'm not going to say I'm not really. I like Michael Jackson, but I'm not like a diehard Michael Jackson fan. But I want to say it was the Carnival song. You can kind of hear hints of like some of the songs off Thriller on there. Like apparently, if you listen long enough, you could hear hints of different of his songs. So I'm not sure that's people looking too hard or if that's like an official thing. But yeah,
I don't know. It could be something like that, but I know, and it's one of those ones like who knows how many of those songs really are his, or if they had to change it halfway through, or what.
Like it was partially done, and then all of a sudden, like let's change it sort of, so we can't call it his.
Yeah, exactly. We'll change a couple of like notes in there, and then it'll be all fine and dandy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of that EverDrive, okay. Well, I've just been like in the last week, I've just been kind of like after I've been done working or something like that, just kind of go on and turn that thing on and just flip through random games and just play some of the games that you kind of like. Oh yeah, I love this game and that game and everything like that. But then go into like some of the random ones, you're like, what the hell is this game? And it's kind of funny that I will say this at the end of the day, the 64 is one of my favorite systems of all time, and no doubt there. But there's like a lot of games on the 64 that are like, I could not imagine ever seriously playing it. Like, it's just one of those systems where, like, at the time, Nintendo probably like peer pressured everybody in, like, no, you make a 3D game. You ain't making no 2D bullshit here. You make a fucking 3D game because that's what the kids want. And some of those games probably should not have been 3D.
Are you denying Glover?
No, you know what? I'm actually not denying Glover. But Glover
I don't like Glover, so that's why. Because that was the whole thing. You had to carry the ball around. I was like, fuck this ball. I just want to smash it with like a fist. But it was like, no, and like you can't like smash. Like if the ball broke or died, then you die.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. But no, it's just some of these games. It's like you just kind of look at them and just, the graphics are just so muddy and they're just so like blocky. Or like playing like Doom 64 on there. It's like, that game is already so dark as is, and even if you turn the brightness up on that one, it's like, God, it's like they just want to make that game as dark as possible, which almost made it kind of like not that much fun to play. I mean, what I like about it is it's not the same Doom as the PC one. It's like, I don't know if they're like mismatched levels, or maybe it's just the beginning levels are different, and then it turns into regular Doom. But
well, that's the thing about that game is I remember people who love Doom hating that game just because everybody, that was like the first... now it seems like every time there's a major release, there seems to be some kind of thing like this game is unfinished. Yeah, we'll fix it in the patch. I want to say that was like the first one I could think of that everybody was almost universally like, dude, this game is too dark to see anything.
Well, it's like not only you got to turn the brightness up on the game, then you got to turn your brightness like up on your TV. I mean, like it's not. I will say this. It's not unplayable, and I still think it's cool.
I never played it, so I can't say.
I mean, there's nothing I like. I never found anything really wrong with it. I mean, like the darkness is kind of annoying, but It is one of those ones because it's like, like Doom holds up great. Like if you play like a good copy of Doom, like, you can either get the PC version or you can get the version on like 360 on the Doom BFG. That one there, you can play it on your Xbox One. That game holds up great. Plays awesome, looks great, everything about it's awesome. And I think a lot of those first-person shooters don't die out, but it's just some of the different ports. It's kind of like the Super Nintendo version of Doom. Back in the day, that was awesome because that was all you had. You're like, oh my god, I can play Doom. I can play Doom on the Super Nintendo. This is mind-blowing. Nowadays you kind of go back to it and you're like, oh, that'd be the hardest version probably to play out of any of them.
It's how pixelated, how slow it would be and all that.
Yeah, it's just kind of funky. I mean, like I like the 3.2x version. I know that one's kind of like sort of like half-assed, like they only put like half the levels in there or anything like that. But you know what was my favorite version or favorite reason for the 360 or 3.2x version?
What?
They made the game super bright.
Okay.
It was one of the only Doom ones where it didn't have any of the lighting textures like the PC one did, but by that standard, it just made everything like brightly lit, like Resident Evil 1 style.
I guess the stuff you sometimes don't take into account, which helps me kind of saves it, sort of.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones like that. But boy, I mean, like as I said, I was just flipping through some of these games here, and it's like some of them, it's like you literally start it for about like all of like 3 minutes, and you're kind of like, yeah, I think I'm done. I think I figured this out.
Which one was it? There was a game that everyone else hated, but I loved, was a game called Buck Bumble. And that was a game where you were a bee, like toxic waste spilled into like this, cottage, and then like it made all the insects like evolve super fast and become all cyborgish or whatever. It was because of science. And what ends up happening is you're just this bee going around firing. It was very clunky. You could tell it was more probably a learning curve than anything, trying something else out. But it was just something fun about just flying around, just shooting at like all these different crazy arsenal of weapons.
Yeah. There is cool things like that, and I remember that game being kind of cool. I haven't tested that one out recently.
The games that were a little bit more lower, not lower, but like maybe lower quality or power when like they actually wanted you to have a saving card for the end game, because that was about 64. Most games didn't need a saving card; they had a memory in the cartridge itself. But that was one that's like, nope, you bring your own saving card.
I'm going to tell you this: by flipping through those games, there is more games that need that memory card than there's games that have a built-in save.
Really?
I think it's just one of those ones, just the games you normally would buy. Because if they came by Nintendo, they all were like built-in save. But everybody else, like, okay, all the Acclaim games need a memory card. So Tony Hawk needs a memory card. Spider-Man needs a memory card. Castlevania needs a memory card. That's not an Acclaim game, but still, there's like because I used to I think back in the day, the only couple games I remember that needed a memory card was Turok and Castlevania. Those were the two big ones. I mean, I know there was other ones that did too, but it didn't seem like I needed a memory card that much for it. But this one's like, Jesus Christ, so many games need a memory card here. It's like, why can't you save? I mean, obviously, they must have just cheapened down the cartridge and just didn't have that extra bit of, like, room.
I remember one of my favorite ones was Marman 64. That one didn't need a memory card, though, luckily.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like a lot of the Japanese ones didn't need a memory. It seems like all the American games I noticed lots of times need. Well, I'll take that back. Castlevania's Japanese, but I don't know.
A couple here and there.
There's a lot. There's way more games that I thought that needed a memory card.
Well, I think 64 was definitely a learning curve, and I think there's a couple games that came out of the right out. They're just swinging, but they're still kind of like, you can kind of see a little bit of the rough edges around them. Just because looking back on like Mario 64, just the way the camera would randomly turn sometimes, or how kind of clunky it would be when trying to platform on very narrow areas. But for the most part, that game's still a masterpiece. But you get the games that like, I think that still were trying to figure out what they wanted to be.
Well, yeah. Well, I think Mario 64. That's the game. That's one of the few games that you could show to somebody nowadays, and I think they could still enjoy it and have fun. Where a lot of these other games, I feel like, nostalgically, they're amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I think like GoldenEye, totally amazing. But I feel that one's one of those ones you can't show a kid GoldenEye nowadays.
I don't even think you show a kid Mario 64 because, I mean, even though I think it's fun, like I think if it's like this is the first thing you showed a kid, they'd probably be fine with it. But if you let a kid like, I don't know. I think a lot of kids at this point, like their first big Mario game is Mario Sunshine or something like that, or
Well, yeah, Mario Sunshine might even be a little bit old by this point, but yeah, there is that. Or it's like, I'll say this: I think Star Fox 64 would hold up well enough. As long, I mean, obviously
that one's pretty straightforward, way more straightforward. Yeah.
Well, you just got to have a kid who can like at least handle a little bit of like retroness. Like if you get a kid who hates retro, well, it's not going to work out. But if you get somebody who's like, hey, okay, I'm willing to play some older games, then I think those ones would. Where like if you try to say, hey, play Quake 64, like play that version of it. Mm-hmm. I think that one would be kind of tough. Or give a kid Turok and it's like, hey, you probably never used Turok controls before, have you?
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, like I know what they were doing with the Turok thing is like they were trying like, okay, you use the joystick like it's your mouse, and then you use the C-pad to move, which makes total sense, just like a computer. But nowadays, it's like that's the exact reverse of like everything else since Halo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Halo's one that made that whatever that style is. It's the one that made it popular, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and really, Halo's technically just the Turok style, but just reversed, you know, instead. But I'm like, I can go back and play the Turok because I finally just got used to it over time, you know. Or it's like GoldenEye, like those controls, even though they're completely different than every game I play nowadays. When I jump back in the GoldenEye, there's nothing different. It's like I jump into that and I know exactly what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there any games you came across like, oh shit, I forgot about this one?
Let's see, what are some of the ones like? Well, there's one of those ones like, did you ever play Wayne Gretzky's hockey on there?
No, I haven't.
That game is so much fun, and that game I think holds up really well. Maybe because I also haven't played an NHL game probably since Wayne Gretzky, so it's all I know. But like, because I was playing that one, somebody had it like a couple of years ago when we were playing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this game still holds up really well. It's still really, I mean, it's blocky graphics, but it's like so much fun. So that would be an Ultimate Party ones, which we might play tonight if we have anybody else.
Oh, I'm just gonna suck. I mean, I like real hockey, but I suck at esports, all kind of esports games.
But let's see. That Pokemon one was the main one that like because I don't think I ever played that game back in the day, and I almost feel bad not playing it because I just liked it that much. What else did I run across? I was just playing a lot of things. Like, you know, I was playing like Turok 3 because I always remember that one being kind of cool, and I could not figure out what to do after a while in that one.
I remember Turok was like that was the one super, because like the thing about Nintendo when they first came out, they're like, this is like, you know, like, well, they're treating it like, how do I put it? They're treating it like it was a big deal, but at the same time, they're treating it like, hey, it's a family council. Come on, kids. But here's our one fucked up game your parents don't want you to know about. Like, they had that with, like, you know, every system, they'd have that one or two games that were, well, I know eventually Turok became third party and went to other stuff, but eventually I know that, you know, most third games on the Wii were pretty sanitized. But then you got like two or three fucked up games like
Mad World.
Here's Mad World and No More Heroes. You know, here's a game where you jerk off the remote, kids. Have fun.
Well, the thing about, I will say, I think the 64 is literally Nintendo's most mature system, because that one, not only did it have the kid games on there, though, but there was actually quite a bit. I mean, like, think about it. Like, at this time period, that's when they started porting things like Doom onto it. Then they put Quake onto there. Then they had Hexen. Then they had Turok. Well, Turok wasn't ported, but you know what I mean? Like, you had all these big first-person shooters. You had Duke Nukem on there.
This isn't a first-person shooter, but like Killer Instinct also.
Yeah, Killer Instinct, and now that's like technically a Nintendo game. Nowadays, it's not a Nintendo game anymore, but then it was. So yeah, you had Killer Instinct Gold.
Was that by Rare?
Yeah, it's by Rare. So you had that there. Speaking of Turok, though, it's like the thing that makes kind of going back to Turok on the 64 is there's these guys that have on Steam. They made a Turok remastered, and it's like really awesome looking, like crystal clear. You know, it looks exactly the way you remember it, but plays like extremely smooth. And I heard that they just did a Turok 2 one, so I'm like, oh, I might have to get that at some point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, my memory for a lot of 64 stuff is kind of muggy. Like, I remember, you know, the big stuff like Smash Brothers or Zelda or Mario and whatnot, but a lot of the other third-party stuff slips by me. Not all of it. There's my handful, but you know.
Well, really,
I remember Jet Force Gemini. I remember loving that one.
Well, see, that's another. There's a handful of these games that are great games, but like Jet Force Gemini, if I was going to play Jet Force Gemini, I'm going to play it on the Xbox One remaster instead.
They have an Xbox One remaster of that?
Yeah, it came out on the Rare Replay collection.
Fuck.
So, like, okay, on the Rare
Fuck you for having Xbox One.
See, this is the one. Like, whenever people, like...
I blame you. Solely you. I don't blame Rare or
the
Xbox
One,
just
like,
you.
That Rare Replay one, it's like, okay, you get a bunch of great 64 games. Like, let's just say you didn't have a 360 and you didn't get Perfect Dark, the remaster, or Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. You get all three of those there. I mean, then you get Jet Force Gemini. You get some other ones like Blast Corps, and you get Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Blast Corps.
And I'm trying to blank. There's got to be one other one on
Here's
there.
my thing about Blast Corps. I just want to say this, because it was like a tanker with a bunch of explosive material that if it bumped into anything, it's going to cause a nuclear explosion. Mm-hmm. And you just got to destroy all this stuff to make way for the tanker.
Uh-huh.
My question is, like, why not? I mean, there's got to be an easier way than saying the only way to stop this rolling trailer is to get a giant robot, smash through all this shit. I mean, there's got to be an easier way. There's got to be a, hey, someone run up, put on the e-brake.
Yeah, but that's not nearly as much fun as a giant robot.
I know it's not nearly as much fun. I'm just thinking there could have been maybe another example, another way to go about it. I don't know.
I guess that's true.
I'm not trying to be Mr. Hindsight or Mr. Like the YouTube channel. I hate everything, and here's why everything you like sucks. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just
Well, after this podcast, we'll have a lot of fun with the N64 because I've got it all souped up now. I went out and I got an S video cable for it. So we're gonna be living the dream as high picture.
You got
quality.
all your 64 cables out.
I got all the controllers ready. We're gonna fucking play some shit tonight at some point. I gotta get a new memory card because I couldn't find my old one. I literally tore apart. I got this ginormous red box that just has every accessory that I have known to mankind. I mean, I got the Sega Genesis 4-player thing in there. I got all my guns. I got the light guns for Super Nintendo for Lethal Enforcers. There is all kinds of crap, and I could not find my memory card to save my life. So I went out and bought a brand new memory card for the 64 so I could play some Castlevania or whatever else needs to save. Even though the thing about those 64 memory cards, I remember those ones just being jacked up. It seemed like if you played another game that involved saving, or if you took the memory card out of it was almost like you had to leave it in the controller with the system and just play that one game. The second that you took that memory card out, that's it. It's over.
You know what this is?
Yo.
This is
Old man ramblings.
Half and half. I'm doing the same thing, so I'm not giving you shit for that.
This 64.
But what this is you know what? I started buying records again. I dust off my old record player. I was going through them. I went down to the thrift store, got some old used record. This is totally what that is.
You know what I did with my records actually not too long ago?
Oh.
Because I had 500 plus records just sitting here, just taking up space. And don't get me wrong, I got collected records for a long time, but at the end of the day, I realized I'm like, dude, you're never gonna listen to this. I kept literally a couple of the ones. I got this Guns N' Roses album that never came out on CD, tape, or anything else. I mean, you can download it now because people have ripped the record, but the record's the only official version of it. And it came out. It's kind of cool because it came out after Lies, but before Use Your Illusion. So it's just got a bunch of demos of Use Your Illusion songs on it. Plus, it's got a bunch of covers and other Guns N' Roses songs that never appeared on anything else.
So a rarities kind of thing?
So it's like a rarities, but it's like a studio recording thing. So it's really awesome. So I kept that one. But other than that, though, I really took all my records. And there's a comic book guy at the flea market. I know he collects a bunch of old records and things like that, too. So I'm like, here, if anybody's going to have it, this is the nicest guy. He's always giving me free comics and things like that. I'm like, I'm just going to give this guy that. So, instead, I was just like, here, have all my records. And he was like, oh, this is awesome. He's like, well, here, have a ginormous box of comics. So now I got, to replace all those records that I was cleaning out of my house, now I got a ginormous box of all these comics.
And that stack was almost done.
Yeah, I know. It's I've actually minus my stack down quite a bit. So I've been kind of happy.
Which I do want to say real quick on a side note, we are going to start up the comic book show a little bit again. That was one of those things where it was Spencer's turn, but then I was going to do it.
I did an episode, so
you did an episode. You got 4? Okay, then I'm going
to probably upload that pretty darn soon too. So.
Okay, so I'm going to upload 5. I'm going to start 5 then.
I did mine on the 1%. I don't know if it's a very good episode because sometimes when you like something so much, you almost talk about it less. I don't know. I felt like I was rambling. I was like, it's like the Punisher, but they're fighting rich fat cats, and it's awesome, and there's violence, and the artwork looks cool.
Is that the one? What's it called?
It's called The 1%. It is so amazing. Pick it up. If you see it, pick that comic up. It's got a bright yellow cover, so you can't miss it. And it's one of those ones, it's one guy doing the whole book, pretty much. I think there's somebody doing the letters or something like that. But for the most part, one guy doing all the art, doing all the writing. And it's just a totally awesome book. Let me see. It might be sitting. Well, it's probably in that stack underneath Spider-Man. But yeah, I kid you not. It's $10, so you can't beat that for 5 big issues. And yeah, totally awesome story. It's literally just a fight the power. It's like Rage Against the Machine infused with the Punisher. That's the best way I can describe it.
Kind of what you wish the Occupy movement would be.
Yeah, except for it's just one guy. Who's almost kind of like a Batman-like figure because he's got all this money.
Well, I mean, what you would want it to be because it was just kind of we want change, but we don't. We just want change.
Well, this guy's not really doing any change stuff. He's just literally murdering these evil
that's
rich
change.
Republicans.
I'd say that's change.
Yeah, I mean it's change, but and it's just kind of it's just dark and just the artwork's so badass. But that's how my podcast feels. It just sounds like I just rambled. I don't know if it makes any coherent sense, but
we after almost this is gonna be 300 episodes pretty soon. I'm gonna say we've all had a couple episodes where you just went and talked about whatever. I'm going to be honest, I'm not coming in here at 100% right now.
But yeah, well, sometimes when you don't come in at 100%, as long as there's somebody else to balance it, then it's okay. But
carry me like, fucking Sam and Frodo.
Carry me, my wayward son. But
there'll be peace when we come home.
But yeah, no, check out the 1%.
You're supposed to sing the rest of the song, dude. Sorry, go ahead. Just go ahead. Yeah.
I know, I'm interrupting you now.
Oh, no, I was saying you're supposed to sing the rest of the song.
Oh, yeah. Well, too late now. 1%. Get it. That's the best image book I've read all year long.
I'll have to check that one out.
But, well, other than that, though, what about those Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
That'll be our fallout. That'll be our fallback plan on if the interviews run short on the metal show. It's just be like, okay, how about them Guardians?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it like a team of some kind? Well, Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh,
you don't know? You're not in the know?
Yeah. So I haven't I was gonna take my kid to it next week. Just like
there's a kid involved now. It was going so good.
No, that movie. Well, I'll say this. I got to watch it again. I liked it. I think I've heard some people complain about it, and some of the things I've heard complain, like I kind of understand. But some ways I think people are being a little too harsh on it, because ultimately the consensus is, oh, it's pretty good. It's just more of the same, but a lot more of it.
Well, the thing is, I really liked it a lot, but it does have the exact problem that mostly every sequel has, is that they go, hey, the first one was funny. Jack up that comedy even more. And the thing is, the jokes in it are mostly really, really good. There's just a couple of them that they drag out a little bit too long that I feel could kind of be cut. And then also there's a couple moments in there where it's like you got this nice dramatic moment, and then they always had to like end it with something funny, which kind of breaks the mood. And I know they use it as like a transition, but I don't know. It's like let a moment, let a sad moment be a sad moment, or let it doesn't always need to have comedy in it.
Yeah, I could probably count on one hand the times where it did that, but it was still one of those things you notice. Like there's a part where, spoilers ahead, folks. We're gonna talk as if you already seen this.
And if you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you? No.
Yeah, we're in America, goddammit.
Yeah, goddammit. And if you're not in America, well, you know where the boat is. You get in that boat, like the ancestors before you, the ones that left your hometown. They said, "Fuck this place. I'm going to America because they got freedom fries." Dude, what was that T-shirt we saw yesterday? I was trying to. It
was a picture.
I remember
of Uncle Sam cradling an eagle and like a baby, and it says, "Tell me another story about freedom."
Oh yeah, I was trying to explain that when I was like, "Oh, what was the fucking saying on it?" And like that was so hilarious.
And the eagle had its mouth open, like.
Oh, it just made my.
I almost kind of wanted to buy that shirt.
It was only like $5. I might even go back and get it because that thing made me laugh so hard.
Maybe we can go back and like wear it, and we could be matching for the interviews tomorrow.
Exactly. Like, tell me a story about your freedom.
No, but anyway, but Guardians though. Back to that for a second. The thing about the movie is there's like a couple of parts where they try too hard for the comedy, and even it kind of works. Like there's the part you see in the trailer where he's just like, nobody has any tape to put over the death button, and then he says, no one has any tape, and then like that scene kind of goes on a little longer in the movie. Like you hear like it holds on Rocket and Groot while Star-Lord, you hear him go running off. You hear him like, hey, you got any tape? You hear gunfire? No? Okay. Hear him run over. You guys got any tape? No. It just goes on for like 2 whole minutes, and maybe not 2 whole minutes, like a minute and a half or something like that.
Yeah, it's probably not that long, but it feels long.
Yeah, and then he comes back like, no one has any tape. And they're like, did you ask Nebula? Well, she was sitting right next to Groot when Drax when I asked, and she didn't say anything, so probably not, So it's like, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it kind of went on longer than it needed to. Like that, there's a couple of moments like that.
Huh. Yeah, I do kind of agree there, too. It's one of those ones, like, I don't know. I think it's just one of those ones, like, some of the, it sounds weird, but, like, I know the first one was pretty much an action comedy the whole way through. But it did have that sort of thing in the second one where they just amped the comedy up a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, I'll say this. It's like kind of like a Rush Hour 2, sort of, like, better, but, that kind of like Rush Hour 2, it's like they kind of amped up the jokes, and, you already know the characters now, so now we can, like, utilize that more. And I still like Rush Hour 2. I'm not saying anything against it, but that's sort of how this one felt. It's just like, let's put more jokes in here. And a lot of times the jokes really did work. They were really good. But every once in a while, it's just like, this is the example one I thought that extended like a little bit too long. Is there was the bad guy that were one of the bad guys in the movie, and his name was
Taserface.
Taserface. I almost said Laserface. I'm like, that's not right. Taserface. And there's a part where Rocket's like, that's your fucking name? Taserface? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And it goes on for a bit, and it's pretty funny. But then later on, it's like, he's telling like this golden lady who's like one of the other bad guys in the movie. He's like, let them know that it was Taserface that brought justice to this area, and she starts busting up laughing, and it's just kind of like.
But he has this. Oh, come on, in a very like sitcom-y kind of.
And he's like
way.
burning up and dying as this like spaceship's crashing. So it's like these are his final words. And they kind of still put it in as like a kind of almost slapsticky.
Well, there's another bit that seemed forced where it's just kind of like it starts off as kind of a nice moment between Star-Lord and Gamora, and it leads into like a very intense argument, but then he starts making 80s references because that's when he was last on Earth, and it's one of those things where it's just kind of like it kind of goes on too long, and he's making like a Cheers metaphor. He's just like, you know what? It's like he says, we have this will they, won't they, like Cheers or whatever, and then it's just like, okay, and he says like, well, you know what? Cheers had like 1 million viewers because there was that question, will they, won't they? We're one. It kind of goes on this big long ramble, which really wasn't even that funny, but it was just like I'm not trying to talk about what I disliked about the movie or anything, but it's more of like there's a couple of moments where it's just like another draft that part maybe, because I'm going to say ultimately, I mean, this movie's totally, if you liked the first one a lot, I'm going to say this one's totally worth owning. I'll probably buy this movie when it comes out, but there's just a couple of moments where I see what you mean, where they were just trying to crowbar that shit in there.
Well, even the Cheers one, this is what I say. It's like, don't get me wrong, like I watched Cheers as a kid too, but I just felt like that's a weird reference because think about like he's a kid when he knows all these 80s things. That's a weird reference for a kid to be pulling. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, well, he's an adult now, but it's not like he's watched Cheers since he was 9 years old. So it's a weird. Like the Knight Rider one, I get that. Like I see where a kid would be like, "Oh, dude, I'm fucking into Knight Rider and Pac-Man, things like that." But he'd probably be making like the Skeletor reference. Like that makes more sense as a kid. But the Cheers is one of those ones like obviously back in the day you just watch whatever's on. And I'm not saying like I like Cheers a lot, but that just seemed to me felt like a weird pull. Like I just don't felt like it was written right for that character's age range when he left.
Well, I think this is partially supposed to be what they're trying to do with Guardians of the Galaxy, is trying to make like an 80s sci-fi adventure movie with a budget those movies wish they had. So in honor of that, they're kind of making a bunch of 80s references and throwing in like late 70s, early 80s music, which I think is cool. But yeah, that one, so I get why they're going with Cheers, but at the same time, for the character, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I'm not trying to, what I'm saying right here, this is nothing that's going to really bring the movie down for me. It's just something I kind of noticed. Like I'm even fine. It's weird. That kind of bothers me. The beginning with Groot dancing around to like Electrical Lights Orchestra, that was like totally fine. There's something really fun and charming about that opening scene,
Yeah, it feels pushed. I will say like the Kid Groot stuff is almost like
they didn't push as much as I thought they would. I'll say that.
They didn't push as much as they thought they would, but they did push it still a little bit more than they probably needed to. Like I can't wait till Groot just comes back and just is regular Groot. Don't get me wrong, not saying anything against the baby Groot, but it's kind of like, how long can this kind of go on before you get kind of burnt out? That's how I sort of feel.
Well, I will say, no, I get you. I mean, I think it is just a one movie thing. Or it's like, there's a part during the credits where you see he's teenage Groot, and he's being kind of like moody and...
I like his Groot's like, I am Groot!
Well, it's also just like, I'm Groot.
Like his voice is like breaking.
Yeah. And like, it's like a little mid...
They should have had a moment where like his fucking balls drop and it's just like 2 acorns. No.
It wouldn't surprise me, actually, if they did something kind of like that. Yeah.
They pretty much did that in Transformers, so I guess...
They did, yeah. That was still walked through the PG-13.
But, no, but the most part, here's the thing. It's like, what the really cool part about this movie, though, is the fact that Kurt Russell is like a full-on main character. Like, I literally thought he was only going to be like cameo material.
Yeah, I actually thought what was going to happen, he's going to pop in is in a human form, because I heard he was playing Ego. So I thought he was going to pop in a human form, like, hey, what's up, Chris Pratt? And then bounce on out, after giving a quick little speech, maybe in a flashback or something. But then to find out, oh, no, not only is he like the villain of the movie, he's here mostly in Kurt Russell form most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, he's in it like just as much as almost anybody else of the team.
Because when I first heard they were going to have Ego, I didn't really know a lot about him, but I just knew of him. I was like, so are they going to have literally a talking planet the whole time? And they don't, but at some point the planet turns around and you see the face. Like, oh, okay, that's actually not a bad way to go about it.
Be like if it was a Green Lantern movie and it's like, what's his name? Mogo? God, I dropped blank on the name. But whatever. Like the planet Green Lantern. Like, what was this movie about that? Like, doesn't have anybody else. Just this planet focused on. I know they got the little buddy creature that kind of hangs out with him, so he kind of has somebody to talk to. But, you could do something like that as well, too.
More than anything, I'm going to say this movie's kind of like, it's more of a Rocket's movie and Yondu's movie.
Yeah, I think so, because Yondu's actually, like, you wouldn't think of him being, like, a major character in it, but, it really comes around, making it like, oh, this character was actually a real important character for Chris Pratt's character.
Well, it's like they go. It was kind of cool because it doesn't feel left field. Like keeping that in mind from the first one, you do see that there's a little bit of something there, but this movie just reinforces it a lot more. And all the stuff that just seemed kind of slightly there in the first one is really amplified a lot by this one. And certain things kind of like this kind of gives information that adds to the previous movie.
Yeah, exactly. So it adds that. And then you know what else it kind of felt like to me? It reminded me of the very last Star Trek movie that came out, because it really only takes place on one major planet, and there's like a scene in the beginning where they're somewhere else.
Well, that seems like a Star Trek episode kind of in itself right there.
I guess that could be kind of like that, but I think of that last Star Trek movie. That was the same way that one was too. It's like they start off somewhere, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're just on this one planet, and that's the entire rest of the movie.
That seems like kind of like a usual Star Trek format, because it would be like, oh yeah, we got to go inspect this planet while the rest of the crew is up on the ship. We're down here on the planet.
Well, I guess for an episode, that's one thing. I will say that's not really my favorite format, because I kind of like traveling. I always use it's almost like I look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, and this is like the only thing that I always think that kind of brings that movie down is I feel like they're in Cairo for way too long, because the beginning of the movie starts off, it's all of a sudden he's in the jungle, he's finding a temple and everything like that, and then boom, he's back in San Francisco and he's teaching college, and you're like, what the fuck? And he's in Nepal, and it's snowing, and there's Nazis, and they're in a bar, and then he's in Cairo, and then he's in Cairo, and then he's in Cairo, and then the movie's over. You know what I mean?
I will say that this movie, it kind of feels a little. Here's the thing. It looks kind of bigger, but technically it's a smaller movie just because they are on Ego most of the time. But they actually make it look a lot more bigger, more grand scale. Because I thought when I saw the trailer, I thought they were in kind of some kind of weird little nebula thing or something. Fight like, oh no, that's the inside of Ego they're fighting in right there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because the first one they travel around all the time. Like that whole movie is a whole big traveling picture. But this one's like, no, I'm really saying it's like that's not the worst case scenario. It always feels like it's just a simpler story to be told, and it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's just something I kind of noticed. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that's where it's all going to take place.
I thought Kurt Russell was a pretty good villain for this movie. I'm wondering, because the thing they always talk about in Marvel movies is how the villains aren't really that great, except for Loki. And I'll say, I thought as far as Marvel villains go, I think they're kind of undercredited. I think Ultron was a pretty good villain, as well as what's his name? I'm trying to blank on his name. Zemo. I thought they did something interesting with Zemo.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
But I think I think Kurt Russell was a pretty good villain for the most part.
No, I definitely think that Kurt Russell was actually that's almost like the best part of the movie in a sense. Just one, you get Kurt Russell being in a humongous movie again, because at the end of the day, you get Kurt Russell cameos. I mean, you give him Fast and the Furious, and he's awesome in that. But he hasn't been
Hateful Eight.
Huh? Which
Hateful
one?
Eight.
Which movie?
Hateful Eight.
Oh yeah, I take that back. Hateful Eight. He had a pretty big role in that one too. Not as big of a role as it's huge for the beginning part, but it's kind of peters out for anybody who hasn't seen it later on, and that's saying that's a bad thing. But you know what I mean? It's in a sense though, he's an older guy, so you can't expect him to be in everything. You know what I mean? He's not going to be just
Did you know that in Hateful Eight when he breaks the guitar, that was actually a classic priceless guitar?
Which at the same time I'm like, what the heck were they doing? It's
I could see Tarantino just being it'll be the real thing, man. It'll be real. It's really important. And it's funny because I was knowing that, watched the movie a little bit ago. When he breaks it, you see Jennifer Jason Scott Lee. Is that her name? Jennifer Jason Scott Lee. Is that her name?
It's
Jennifer
Jason Lee, I think.
Jennifer Jason Lee.
I think.
Yeah, Jennifer Jason Lee. Her reaction, whoa, she has her genuine reaction.
She's the only one in on that it's a real guitar, not the prop one. It was supposed to be swapped out, but Tarantino didn't want that to happen. He's like, no, do it.
It'll be metal, man. It'll be metal.
I'm Tarantino. What are they gonna do to me?
Yeah.
But you know who I was surprised actually wasn't in the movie as much as I thought was Stallone. I thought he was going to be actually a bigger character, and he's literally the cameo that I almost thought Kurt Russell would be.
Well, Stallone, I figured he would be a cameo of some kind because he was because I didn't see him anywhere in the advertisements, and Kurt Russell was in there. I thought Kurt Russell was going to be something he pops in human form, and then we just kind of hear his voice a couple of times throughout the planet, talking what are you doing here? This is my planet. Blah 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 blah.
I'm a planet.
I'm a planet. Blah blah blah. Yeah. No. Just Kurt Russell's Pac-Man style, just eats the other planets, which actually comes back around in a certain way later. But anyway, the whole thing with Stallone, he's actually playing. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know Marvel space stuff that well, but I want to say he was an original member of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. And there's this post-credit scene where he says, like, Yondu made a and I know I think Yondu was at some point, or he was a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy before the Brian Michael Bendis rebooted it and made it.
Well, because like all the main characters of Guardian of the Galaxy that you see in the movies are not like at all in the 70s or 80s like variations of them.
And I think that's who those people were at the post-credit sequence. The original,
except for I want to say almost Rocket might be one of the only like somewhat older characters.
Mm-hmm. And Yondu was one of them. Yondu was.
Oh yeah. But I mean like the main five.
Yeah. Like it was a Brian Michael Bendis like relaunch, and he made it all hip and younger, and that's what the movie's primarily going off of. But I want to say the post-credit sequence where it has like Stallone talking to those guys, I want to say that's the original Guardians of the Galaxy, or at least a team similar to it. Uh-huh. And it kind of had me wondering, because in this they played off like the Ravagers are a bunch of they played off like the Ravagers have some kind of code, and I just thought, okay, they're space pirates. But in this, it almost played it off like, oh, maybe Yondu was just a separate clan that went off and did their own thing, and they're almost kind of like space police or something, kind of like that.
Maybe. I assumed it was more space pirate kind of thing, but with Pirates of Code and or maybe not really. Pirates aren't really the word, but
outlaws,
almost more like Cowboy Bebop style, where it's
bounty hunters.
Yeah, they're not like working. Yeah, it's like sort of like maybe it's not like they're working outside the law, but they're more like almost like
maybe like biker gangs or something.
Yeah, they're just kind of in a sense like mercenaries, but like legal mercenaries, or I don't know how else you want to describe it, but that doesn't make any sense either because that's still going against kind of I think what they are. But.
Yeah, but Yondu, like, you find out that that his gang is like one that doesn't have a lot of respect among all the others for stealing. Because what happens, what I liked is the first thing they show Yondu, they show him looking out of like the room of a brothel, of like a robot brothel, and just
putting his pants back on.
And like leaving, and he just looks kind of down and depressed. And he sees Stallone. He's like, "Hey, been a long time. What's up?" And he's like, like Stallone, where are you going? Like, he's mad. Okay.
Stallone, it's like you don't have to understand every word Stallone says. You get the performance just out of like the emotion.
It's like, oh, he's disappointed. He's mad. Sad.
Yeah.
Leaves. No, that he is. I thought that whole part, because what we end up finding out, he says like the reason why Yondu is actually cursed, or like is not cursed, kicked out of the group, or not recognized by the rest, is because he kidnapped Peter Quill. He says like, you went against the code. You kept a kid. You didn't make it. You didn't make the delivery. He's like, it's more complicated than that. And then he says, I don't want to hear it. Whatever. Then you find out the reason why he did what he did was ego. Ego basically went to all these different planets, and he had to find one compatible like offspring, because he could take the form of whatever he wants. But he had to make one compatible offspring, and he went to all these different planets, impregnated a lady, and they would bring each of these kids over to him, but the kids would never last. The kids would always die, but Peter was one of the only ones that lasted and was strong enough to get by, and Yondu's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. So instead of dropping him off like he was supposed to, he took him away, and that's where they're like, oh, you kidnapped the kid. Like, it's different than what you think.
It's like, you just want him for sex, isn't it? It's like, no, that's not what it is, but I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah.
So I guess, yes, it is for sex. That's why I got kidnapped the kid. I just always wanted a boy.
I just want my own boy. Rutger Hauer, he did a great job. Like, there's that bit. Like, this is like one of those random references, but that was still kind of funny. He's just like, he's laughing. He's like, what? You look, because he's coming down, like writing his own arrow down, holding it up. He's like, you look like Mary Poppins. Like, who's he? Is he cool? Like, yeah, he's cool. Look, y'all, I'm Mary Poppins.
No, there was a lot of great lines. Or like the one I like too is I can't remember who called him it, but like Rocket always gets called a bunch of names. But
Trash Panda.
And they're like, yeah, you look like a trash panda.
Rocket, yeah, they kind of play the whole thing off. Kind of Rocket is like always just trying to push everyone away, and they kind of always get across like the only one he's super protective over is Groot. Yeah, but he still cares about everybody else. They kind of get that across. And I'll say there's that part where spoilers, and I'm not. Hopefully, I mean he's one of my favorite characters, but I hope he stays dead. The gravity. This is the gravity. Can't even talk right now. To add to the gravity of it, Yondu, when he dies at the end, it's kind of like one of the most touching ways possible, because he only has like one little spacesuit, one little jet thing, and he kind of gives it to Peter Quill, and he says like, he may be your father, but I was your daddy, or something like that.
Yeah, he's got a great like touching moment. And that's what I mean. It's like that one I think works out well, but there's sometimes where they'll do that, and then all of a sudden they'll have to throw like a little comedy joke in there, which once again doesn't really like ruin it, but it's just enough that you're like, I
didn't think they were so bad about near the end of the movie. Throughout most of the movie, yeah, but near the end of the movie, they're doing a good job about holding that back.
Yeah, well, during that death scene, they were fine. I mean, like they did have at the funeral where they're kind of like saying like all this stuff, and then, Groot goes, "I am Groot," and he goes, "Yeah, he did call you Twig." Or Twiggy or whatever. There was
nothing that bad.
One wasn't. See, once again, it's not so bad, but it was just enough that's like, well, that probably could have been held. Like, because at the end of the day, what that was is they needed a joke.
Well, it kind of came back around. It was kind of funny for a second because he talked about how back in school he'd tell their kids his dad was David Hasselhoff, and he made some references. It seemed like it was going in a funny direction, but it came back around, and he said like, I told him, and sure he didn't have a talking car, sure he didn't do this, but then he actually named off some things that were kind of similar. So I guess he was better than that. You know what I mean? So it kind of came back around. Like I thought that part was there. It was kind of tilting in a funny way, and then it pulled back, and like, oh, okay, he brought it back around. But the thing I liked about the whole Yondu subplot in this movie is, after watching this movie and looking back on Guardians 1, everything he does, you can kind of see around it. Like you can see he never intends to hurt him. He never intends to let him die. He might smack him around a minute but like you can tell like there's no moment where because everyone's always telling him like, you're always so soft on him. He's like, I'll kill him myself. And you can see he's always looking for a way around, trying not to kill him.
Yeah, tried to still look like a badass to like the rest of the pirates, but not.
And there's even that part when like he gets the cube and he opens the sphere, opens it up. It's not the Infinity Stone, but the troll. And he just smiles and laughs.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's okay. Yeah, so it is kind of interesting looking back at the first one and comparing it to like kind of how you see this there. Because you almost don't really even think too much of that in that first Guardians. I mean, it's there, but you just kind of think it's like, oh, that guy just wanted to rape Chris Pratt like every single day. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
He's a good-looking guy. Why not?
Yeah, well, I guess if you're gonna choose somebody, I mean, it's that, or you could have picked up Captain America. I mean, whatever your fancy.
I get it. Whatever.
He's like, I get all the Chris's.
He's starting a collection. Gotta catch them all.
Got Chris Hemsworth as he was a boy.
Got Chris Pratt. Got Chris Hemsworth.
There's a lot of
Chris
Chris's
Evans.
in Marvel. Yeah.
There is, yeah. There's only 3 coming to mind.
There probably maybe another one if we think hard enough, but
yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Still, that's a lot of main characters being Chris's.
Yeah, it is a lot. But no, anyway, that whole part though, and then it's kind of, this is like a small joke, but it still works. It's kind of like last time he went to that area, he came across one of these. It's called a Zune. It's what they listen to music on now. It could hold up to 300 songs. Like 300 songs. and then like that because they break the what's his Kurt Russell plays his Walkman, and then he's probably one of the most touching scenes of the whole movie. He sits there after Yondu's funeral, and he puts on the Zune and he listens to Father and Son by Cat Stevens. And I think that song worked like probably like the best working song in the entire movie. I mean, like all the songs were good, and what I really liked about the song choices is that instead of choosing like, they could have went and chose a little bit more like known 70s songs, and I felt they did the exact opposite direction where they went and like they dug deep and they pulled stuff out that's like, oh yeah, you might know Cat Stevens, but do you know this song? And I think that's kind of cool. Like instead of, because the first one, it's like one of those ones like I will say like most of the songs in there you probably have heard those somewhere before. They weren't like I mean they were definitely like kind of like a little bit more one-hit wonder like
bands.
3 or 4 one-hit wonder stuff, and then like there's like stuff like, okay, here's a big song by David Bowie, here's a big song by the Runaways.
Yeah, it's like, what I mean? And then it's like, but I mean, like, for the most part, everybody knows the Pina Colada song. Everybody's kind of heard, because of Reservoir Dogs, the Hooga Chugga song.
Hooga Chugga. Hooked on a Feeling.
Yeah, Hooked on a Feeling. You know what I mean? So a lot of these songs, like, they were kind of like, I mean, they weren't like the biggest songs. It wasn't like they picked like Rock and Roll All Night and they picked like, like Paul McCartney's Live and Let Die or something like, go like the biggest of the big 70 songs. But I like how in this one they actually really just pick songs where it's just like, oh, okay, cool. That's it's like, okay, I know that band, but it's like that's not a song that you would normally think. And I think that kind of works well. And the Cat Stevens song towards the end, I think was like, it's like the perfect one for that song, right, or for that ending moment.
Yeah, definitely. And it actually has a really effective really just effective ending montage between all the characters at the end of the Cat Stevens songs. Then another really poignant moment is they had like when Stallone's all like and like the subtitles it says we'll never come to your funeral, or no, our lights will never shine on your funeral, or something like that. And when he actually dies, Rocket sends a message out explaining. He don't show up, but he says he does. He says he sends out a message to all the different Ravengers, and they all come out and shoot out fireworks for him at his funeral.
Have an honorary funeral, a Ravenger funeral, I think.
Yeah. And, it's just one of those, like, genuine moments in the movie.
Yeah, no, and I think that's definitely true.
And I think people, because the thing I heard a lot of people, because I talked about what I didn't like, and there's some of those things are there, but, like, I heard a lot of people kind of almost complaining about, like, the usage of the music. Like, before they'd find a clever way to put the music in there, but now it's just like, let's stop the movie just to play the song and music. Like, my thing is, like, okay, at what point are you overusing what's the word I'm looking for here? What point is something overstated its welcome, and at what point is that just the niche of the series? That's just what this series does. It's kind of like people, to me, because I heard people literally complaining about. There's the scene where Yondu, Rocket, and Groot escape the Ravenger vessel, and it's kind of like the prison escape scene from the first movie. Only he's not playing Pina Colada. They're playing some other song. I don't even know what the song was before this movie, but it's a cool little tune, and it almost sounds like a song you'd hear in a Tarantino movie. And they're just killing all these guys with the songs playing, this cool action scene, and I heard people actually complaining about that, saying, "Oh, they're just putting in the music wherever they can. It seems kind of unnecessary." And like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of the niche of this movie. It's what the series does.
Well, I still feel like they had they still had good ways to kind of explain how it was. It's almost like by Chris Pratt always listening to this music, everybody kind of on the ship got used to listening to it, so they were all kind of into it.
Yeah.
And even like it's even kind of like a joke at the very beginning. It's like they're getting ready to battle that giant like space tentacle monster, which almost looks like I don't know. I can't remember what that monster's name is, but
is he from the comics?
I think so. I think it's one of those ones like it's on the you'll see it like I want to say almost like an Avengers stuff, but Guardians of the Galaxy probably could be totally fine with it too. But I like how like Rocket's sitting there trying to hook up like the Walkman to speakers, and they're like, "Dude, I do not think that is the most important thing you can be doing right now." He's like, "No, we gotta have cool tunes while we're battling."
Like Chris Pratt's rubbed off on them. Yeah, like I could see that. And like that whole scene, what's kind of cool about that opening scene is like they have like Groot doing this little dance to that song, but then like you'll see this big epic battle. It's not focusing on the battle, but you'll see someone getting like thrown right next to Groot and then like grabbed by the monster, pulled out of frame while he just keeps on dancing. And then once
it's all one continuous shot, which is kind of cool. I mean,
and then,
it's CG, so it's not
the hardest thing in that aspect, but still looks great though. And then like once Drax lands down on top of the speakers, killing the music, that's when it goes back and focuses on the battle.
Yeah, it goes like a regular action scene.
So, and I thought that was just kind of cool because that just that ultimately that lets you know what this movie's gonna be.
And that was the credits, so it like all kind of like it was timed out perfectly. Once the credits ended, the music ended, and then you're back to like the movie.
So that's my thing. It's kind of like that right there. I didn't heard people complain about that so much, but I've heard people complain about other stuff like where they just dropped where Rocket is setting up it's actually most of the music. Rocket's the one playing it. Rocket's setting up the traps in the forests. He's just like all the different weird little like almost Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote traps. He's like setting on them.
That scene's really cool.
And then, he's just playing music there, and then he's playing the music when they escape. So that's one of those things, like, I heard people complaining about that, and just like, they're just using it too much now. Just like, I don't feel like it is. I just feel like that's this movie's niche. It's kind of like people talk about, like, oh, Tarantino just likes to have people talk in his movies. Yeah. That's when you see a Tarantino movie.
That's literally why we go to see him mostly, too.
To watch people talk, and then there's going to be occasional badass action.
Yeah, that's kind of what you expect out of Tarantino when you go into him, and like that's not like a bad thing.
Did you see Inglourious Bastards? There's just a lot of talking. It's like, what the fuck were you expecting? Yeah, there's going to be some gunplay at some point, but yeah.
It's kind of like in a Steven Spielberg movie. You kind of expect a little bit of adventure and emotion, so it'd be odd if like that wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly. So
you know where I point out, like here's an example to me where the music felt kind of shoehorned in there is more like Suicide Squad. Because that one felt like they were trying to be Guardians, but by trying to be Guardians, they literally just felt like, let's just slap a song in here.
Well,
like,
it could be any song. Like I think when we had the Painted Black guys on, when we had Lou and Pete on talking about it, they pointed out some good things. Like I didn't think about that part.
Yeah, and like here's the thing: is like some of those songs work, but that movie, it's like it's got a good soundtrack. Not saying it's really against that, but it does definitely feel like shoehorn in song here, and like let's just spend a lot of money on our album and make that like a big deal. Where at least Guardians of the Galaxy, in a sense, they're picking like obscure songs that one probably don't cost a whole lot. Two, probably the band's like, oh God, we're gonna get a royalty check. I don't even know what to do. Nobody's called us in 35 years.
First time that was Mickey Mouse. Like, why was Mickey Mouse being nervous? Oh, okay.
Oh God, no, they're not gonna show that video, are they? That was supposed to be public.
No, like,
not that time that we were on the Carnival cruise, and me and Goofy got drunk together. And we decided Donald will pull out the fucking iPhone cameras and shoot it. Donald, you fucking shoot it, you dumbass! Shoot the fucking camera.
I was on PCP, okay? That's why it was PCP. That's not the real Mickey.
Yeah, it's a Disney Cruise Line, and you know what? We have every year. We have it where it's just the fucking crew of Disneyland gets to go out there, and we get to be by our fucking selves. Nobody's supposed to fucking see it.
Send a message to Daisy. Send her Donald's head in a fucking box.
But it's like
actually send Donald, Huey and Dewey and Louie's fucking head.
I was gonna say send Scrooge McDuck, but that fucker's already dead.
Took care of him back in 01. Stay dead, you old fuck.
It was 9/11. We had to blame it on somebody.
Oh no! Oh that crafty Irish, that crafty Scottish fuck had all his money in offshore accounts.
It was real easy to pinpoint it to him. Nobody was going to draw conclusions. But it's like, well, the thing about the Suicide Squad one is that one, I feel like they're using big songs. They're not even picking like obscure songs. They're picking things that like, okay, here you go. Here's a Queen song. Here's Rolling Stones Painted Black, or no, Sympathy of the Devil. Here's what's that? I guess I was thinking of like.
Well, then they drop in like it's out of nowhere. They drop in like because I watched the movie for the first time yesterday, actually, first time since the theaters because I'm home visiting, and my parents actually watched the movie, and I was surprised to find out they liked it because it's like usually they don't like comic book shit, but they actually liked that movie. So I was like, oh wow, okay. So I watched it with them, and watching it, and I was just watching like some like, oh yeah, they use this song, they use that song. The thing is, they'll just, if there's nothing going on, they'll just drop in, here's White Stripes and Seven Nation Army,
yeah,
and then like just like a minute later, here's that na 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 by Eminem song,
yeah,
and then like I think Lou pointed this part out. I don't even know, come by when like Harley Quinn's fighting in the elevator.
Oh, yeah,
the song just stops.
Yeah, it's almost like there's so much going on, and probably I think the reason why they probably enjoyed it, I could see almost like by not watching a whole lot of movies like that. Because I think what kind of almost like ruins that movie is the fact that it's still a good movie. I still enjoy it, but just not as good as it should have been. Let's just say that. But I think the thing is, what almost kind of brings it down is because a lot of that stuff in that movie, you just felt like, well, I've kind of already seen this multiple times. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you didn't see it multiple times, it's going to feel a little bit more fresh.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I still don't think they overused it too much in Guardians 2 because it still seemed reserved and kind of they seem to wait for the moment.
Yeah, well, I don't think they
drop it.
Anything wrong with Guardians 2 soundtrack? I think that all worked just as well. And you can.
I actually like the Guardians 2 soundtrack more than the Guardians 1 soundtrack.
Well, and it's like once you expect that in Guardians, you know what I mean? Where Suicide Squad, you don't expect that, so I think that's also what makes it kind of odd.
Well, I kind of got the Guardians of the Galaxy vibe when I saw the first trailer. So they're like, we're doing the outlook because they're trying to do the lovable outcast thing with Suicide Squad when it shouldn't have been that. They should have just been like, fuck each other, fuck you. Yeah, I'm in this for myself. That's really what it should have been. You know what I mean? The who's going to make it out. You know
exactly. Yeah, but well, once again, yeah, this was one. It's like you could always talk.
We're treading water.
It'll become like the new Dark Knight Rises, where you can always point out the problems to it, but.
Mm-hmm. No, it's whatever. I mean, I'll say this: watching it again,
still, the first 40 minutes are fucking amazing. Like,
definitely.
It's like a 4 out of 4 movie when the movie starts, and then it just like peters out.
I'll say this: I liked it more the second time around watching it with my folks, but I will say there still is problems. It's weird knowing my parents know who Harley Quinn is now.
Yeah,
it's one of those weird things. Like, oh yeah, times have changed. But this one though, back to Guardians 2. I thought that they tried to do the whole thing with like Rocket was trying to like What are they trying to do with Rocket? They're trying to like make Rocket like, oh yeah, I'm kind of the same thing as Yondu, kind of trying to do like a whole like look in the mirror, like Yondu's like, turn away, rat. This is what you'll become, you know.
Just shows him like in the prison cell. He's like jerking off in the corner, like turn around. This is what you'll be. I don't like myself. He's holding Groot, looking at him like with the other hand. Don't be me.
Look at me. Look at me.
No, overall though, I don't know. I think there's people are always just going to complain, but you know, to me, like it's like. As I said, like the only real small things, it's just like you could have pulled back just a tad bit on the comedy, just toned it down just a bit, and I think it would have been totally fine. But
because there's like we didn't even talk about what's going on between Gamora and Nebula. Their whole plot line is Nebula is on a like war. They're trying to drop Nebula off back to Xandar because she's a war criminal there, and then she tries to break out and tries to kill them all, and mainly Gamora. And you find out what's going on is. Gamora always beat her in sparring, and what would happen whenever Gamora won is Thanos would rip something off of Nebula and slap a robotic piece in place.
To try to improve her.
So she's basically just mostly machine by this point, which is something I already knew, but I didn't know that that's how it all happened. So then you find out that like she could never let me win just once. She always had to win. She's responsible for this. And that's when those things are, oh, it's kind of fucked up. And then what ends up happening is they kind of patch things up, kind of not like I love you, sis, I love you too, but more of like oh, okay, you know, maybe there's kind of room or hope later in the line. They kind of go their own way. But when she's first saying this speech, she's given this good bad guy speech about how she was tortured and this and that. And then like she's saying it, so I'm going to rip out my sister's eye. I'm going to cut her arm off so she knows how it feels and this and that. And then what ends up happening, the weird, goofy right-hand man of Yondu's like, oh, I meant like, you know, give your sister a hug when you see her or give her like a nice necklace or something like, all right, you have a good day now. All right. And he just walks away all awkwardly. It's just like, I kind of get you want to have a little bit of humor, but sometimes that kind of stuff seems forced.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit shoehorned in there. I mean, and it's almost ones, it's that kind of, it's a classic sequel thing where, hey, people found the first one really funny. You should put more of that comedy in there. I mean, it's no different. It's kind of like, you know, you look at something like Lethal Weapon 2, because there is a kind of a big jump from Lethal Weapon 1 to 2. Both of them still really good movies, but you know you could see right off the bat, the first 5 minutes, how much comedy's in Lethal Weapon 2.
Trying to follow the path of its 80s predecessors.
Well, I don't know. But
I'm just joking more than anything else. Trying to.
You go by that standard, because yeah, a lot of 80s and 90s movies are the ones that were the sequels. I mean, it happens in every.
Because the movie's very self-aware that like it's trying to make a lot of nods. Like they even go as far as I'll say because. Like the post-credit scenes, they didn't make it boring, but they're all like they're almost kind of more like just having. I don't want to sound like this is going to sound wrong. Like almost too much fun. They're trying to cram in like too much, like because they're in the post-credit sequence as the music's going. You just see the characters kind of dancing in the background a little bit, or they're like
loop dancing too. It's not even like it's like they go for like 3 seconds and then freeze and then keep going again.
Yeah, and like as the credits roll, and even they knew that people were going to stay and watch the credits. So I guess they're trying to make it entertaining because you even see in the credits will say "I am Groot" and then it changes to the person's real name or something like that.
You know, there's probably somebody's like, my name. It's like it's not even there. It's like until like it's half of the credits are halfway up. It's like, yeah, but everybody's looking at that one because they're wondering what it is.
Yeah.
So it's probably better to be the I am Groot like character in the credits.
So it's like, you know, that was smart to kind of actually, in some ways, it was smart to like make the credits more entertaining because by this point people know to wait after the credits for something. But there's still a little bit of that kind of like they could have done a better job with some of them because they got the whole like teenage Groot thing. That whole part was like. It seemed kind of like, oh, what are you doing? Like very overacting,
sitcom.
Very sitcom-y.
You almost felt like there should have been a laugh track.
Which is probably what they were trying to go for. But after you kind of end on this very serious note, or a sad note, a very sweet note, it was just like, oh, okay, whatever.
I mean, that's one of those jokes. That's one of the few ones I think that worked. I don't have a problem. Well, one of the few ones. Strange enough, that one I didn't have a problem with, really. I just felt like...
Teenage Groot?
I mean, like, you kind of expected something like that. It's like, okay, you got Baby Groot the whole time. What's he going to go into next? And I almost even thought, like, what, is that going to be Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is Teenage Groot?
I bet number 3... because moody, whiny teenage Groot's going to get old quick. At number 3, it's going to be just regular Groot, I bet.
Well, I kind of hope that's what it goes back to, but
I thought something was going to happen. Like there's going to be some plot device where he's cornered real quick, and then all of a sudden he just immediately burst out and he's big again. And
well, that's what I kind of thought too. I thought like the Baby Groot thing was going to be like kind of like the beginning of the movie, and then he was going to like slowly evolve back into regular Groot.
I thought he was going to be like I thought he was just going to turn into regular Groot like at the end of the third act and save everybody or something like that.
Well, because that's like one of those ones. Like, how long has he been Baby Groot for anyways? Like, how long is this growth spurt?
I don't know if I've ever seen an audience so collectively go, "Aw," or something whenever he was sad or whatever. Because even that part when like he's carrying the bomb and the wall is closing in and he starts to cry holding the bomb. It's like, you motherfuckers, you're trying to play with my emotions too. Because that's sad. Seeing the small little baby thing crying as like the walls are closing in around him.
Yeah. Well, as well as ones like the thing too is this is what I kind of fear is the fact that they make Groot so cute as a little baby that they're going to be like, well, we can't make him an adult anymore now. Everybody loves Baby Groot.
Or he turns into regular Groot and just shits out a small Groot. I don't know.
Yeah, and then has like a buddy.
Yeah.
Be like Scrappy Doo.
I got a feeling that he's gonna be Big Groot. I feel like they know Disney's smart. Well, even though they might make some missteps, they're smart. They know when something's ran its course, and they for a while they had trouble realizing that, but now they're at the point where this is about to run its course. Let's switch it up before it gets old.
Well, because I'll say that because like any more of Baby Groot, I think would be too much. I think as well as ones like in this one, it's like they hit the cap of how much you can kind of have before it becomes almost annoying.
Mm.
So if they end it here like that and then just switch back over, I think that'll be okay.
Yeah.
But no, overall though, I really liked it. I can't wait to see Stallone in more things.
I guess the next one. Well, I don't know my Guardian stuff. Like I know my other Marvel stuff. So some of the stingers they have, they showed all the gold people being kind of like, "What's in that chamber? We call it Atom." Dun-dun-dun. It's like, oh, if I read Guardians, that's probably very important to me. But
yeah, it's like the only Atom I know is from DC.
Yeah, so I bet it's probably one of those. It's probably just some. Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably
we'll
something
find
big.
It's probably
obviously
something.
Nobody in the audience really thought it was anything big because you didn't hear anybody go like, "Oh fuck."
It wasn't. You didn't hear like. Well, it's not like. I guess for like a Guardians fan, it's got to be like when you first saw. This is before post credit scenes and all that. But when you first saw like Resident Evil and you get to like use him for Nemesis. Oh fuck, Nemesis!
That's what I mean. Like that's like the oh my god that moment.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. He's probably something, but we'll find out. I'm wondering if they're gonna have some shit they're gonna say for Infinity Gauntlet, or if that's gonna be like Guardians 3.
Well, it's better. There's like people like they're sitting around us and they all stand like, "Fucking didn't even have Thor in it." Like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
You heard somebody say that?
I heard a couple people talk about that. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's what they were expecting to be like the post credits was like.
You
Thor.
saw Jeff Goldblum's character from Thor dancing in the credits.
The one thing I did actually like, I thought if there was going to be a cameo of anything Marvel in there, I thought it was going to be Thor, just for the fact that the next one coming up is a Thor space movie.
Yeah,
like, you could have like, but I don't know.
I almost was partially expecting when they showed like all the different little like ego bombs going off across the galaxy, and they showed Earth. I was almost expecting like not Iron Man, but maybe like Scarlet Witch or Falcon coming in like, back up, people, back up, something kind of like that,
Because everybody's like, "Oh, the fucking Falcon's gonna save us!" Like, dude, why is this guy so pissy? He's like, "There's a giant wave coming at him," and then he flips out because he did. Gets like, "Yeah, they fucking cheaping on us now. Who got Iron Man?" I bet you fucking New York. No, they got Spider-Man now. Fuck Spider-Man. I read that Daily Bugle. Nobody likes him.
One of my favorite, there's a great Robot Chicken sketch. It's like every episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, we have this major crisis. All right, get Iron Man. We don't know where he's at. Get Hulk. Well, he's in hiding. Get Captain America. He's in deep cover somewhere. Get Thor. He's in Asgard. Get Scarlet Witch. She has Zumba class. And it's like
everybody's busy.
It looks like we have to do this ourselves. Like next week on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they see somebody looking out binoculars at the window. Like, Iron Man just flew by. Let me see. I'll just take my word for it.
That sounds about right. Well, that's probably a good place to wrap this all up at. We had a good old fun time of N64 and Guardians of the Galaxy, a movie that you definitely should see. I don't see why you wouldn't. But till then, prepare for our live episode and whatever else we have coming up for 300. We're going to make it something special, something big.
Well,
as big as, bigger than normal. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So lots of air horns, a lot of dubstep, 300. Oh my God! Turn on. Just a lot of sound clips.
Yeah, like don't. I don't know what's going into. It's going to go somewhere.
It's like he had something planned. I don't know what.
It was all winging it. But check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. Make sure to check out my comic book, Pizza Boys. You can find it on Amazon.
Pizza Boys with a Z.
Yeah, Pizza Boys with a Z. The Z is the most important part. As long as you type it in as Pizza Boys with a Z, you should be able to find it. If not, you might have to autocorrect it or you fix it because Amazon will autocorrect it. But you can also maybe find it on Comixology soon. So till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. Won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to Old Man Orange.